Namaste, dear viewers. I'd like to first express my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Meenakshi Ravi and her team for pulling me into this educative venture uh, to enrich the viewers on therapeutic aspects of classical music, especially the Indian classical music, and how it benefits children. So today's topic would be the significance of music learning to children. Shishurveti Pashurveti Veti Veti Gnana Rasam Panihi. I'm sure most of you have heard to this Sanskrit slogan. The essence of music can be experienced by all creatures, be it a child, an animal, or a snake. In other words, music has the power to touch, reform, and influence the entire creation. Just like swaras are of core importance to the Vedas, nada is the soul of music. Without nada, there is no music. It is very aptly said in one of the shlokas, Na means the prana energy and Da means the Agni energy in our bodies. So yoga of the prana and Agni results in nada. It is this nada which is present as mantra in the heart, madhya nada in the throat, and the vocal sound called tara which emanates from the mouth. We all know that to most of us, music is a biological need, an astounding art form that allows us to feel and experience multitude of rasas or emotions, and also an extraordinary vehicle for enhancing intelligence and a way to connect and unite people all over the world. So when do babies actually respond to music? The Sanskrit word garbha means fetus in the womb, and sanskar means educating and culturing the physical and mental health of the child in the womb. So, Garbh Sanskar essentially means maintaining the health of the fetus. It is traditionally believed that a child's mental and behavioral development starts as soon as he is conceived. His personality or her personality begins to take shape in the womb, and this can be influenced by the mother's state of mind and emotions during pregnancy. There is enormous research globally on the effect of structured sound on the unborn child. While sounds are greatly altered as they pass from the outside world to the ear of the fetus, there is more than sufficient stimulation to be heard in the womb. The structured, specific sounds heard by the fetus in the womb give a strong foundation for later learning and behavior. It's quite common across South Indian culture and tradition that the Veena strains are played, or compositions on Veena are played during the Simanta function, which happens during the 7th or 8th month to a mother. This is a traditional ritual for pregnant mothers in the Hindu tradition, but this not only has a cultural significance but also is of scientific importance. Listening and playing music not only keeps the anxious mother stress-free but also helps her in stimulating and activating the baby's memory cells through vibrations from the surrounding environment. We then move on to the infants and toddlers. The first experiences of music are always from home and parents or extended families, grandparents. We don't have to be musicians to give the best kind of music to the child. The child can be a passive listener. Music learning as a child grows surely takes a little time and effort from our side. But the time that you spend in exposing children to music and giving them opportunities to learn a musical instrument becomes a powerful investment in the future to positively affect the child socially, emotionally, psychologically, and intellectually. From traditional times, parents have always communicated warmth and love through lullabies and songs, and through talking and touching a child. This not only engages the baby but also gives a feeling of security and protection to the baby. And lullabies across different cultures are sung in beautiful ways. For example, rock-a-bye baby on the the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. This is in the Western sequence, but we have such beautiful compositions even in our own in Indian classical music. என்ன தவம் செய்தனை யசோத எங்கும் நிறைந்த பரபிரம்மா என்றழைக்க என்ன தவம் செய்தனை யசோத जो अच्युतानंद जो जो मुकुंद जो अच्युतानंद जो जो मुकुंद राधे परमानंद राम गोविंद अच्युतानंद जो जो मुकुंद जो जो जगतो धारण अडिसितण शोध जगतो धारण. So singing and talking to a baby also assists in early language development. There is a particular kind of language that mothers or grandparents use towards their children or grandchildren. Madris is a term that psychologists use to describe speech patterns of a mother to her baby. Many of us have noticed speech patterns between a mother and her baby are usually musical and toned to suit the child. Music hearing at this tender age can assist in the development of motor skills to support creeping and crawling through instrumental play and sensory stimulation. And stimulation can also assist in brain development. Awareness of surroundings and sounds is targeted through the use of familiar instruments, which can further help in voice discrimination and language acquisition. Now moving on to the next set of beautiful or golden years in the child, typically called as the preschool years. As a child learns to clap or use his triangles, beats to rhythms, or marches in sync with melody sequences with rhythm, his physical coordination develops, his oral and listening skills also develop, and he also gets used to varied pitches and forms of music across. Children as young as 2 to 4 years can make so many beautiful versions of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. It's not just Twinkle Twinkle Little Star that they sing. They can do so many things on butterflies. They can do the same rhyme with a rainbow, and they have wild imagination. And children should be allowed to explore this imagination to stimulate creativity. So music is innate in all of us. Children need to be allowed to explore musical instruments like the mini keyboards, bongos, tanpuras. And music is also introduced to the child during this age in a playway method. Short shlokas and simple compositions can simultaneously be taught at home by elders to open up new learning pathways. Children can be introduced to passive listening of classical music, as passive listening also has its own cognitive benefits. Exposing children to music during early development helps them learn the sounds and meanings of words too, the semantics too. Dancing to music helps children build their motor skills while allowing them to practice self-expression. And preschoolers are the ones who actually enjoy singing in their own terms. They don't like rules being imposed on them, but they should be allowed to explore. They aren't self-conscious about their ability, and most of them are eager to let their voices roar. They like songs that typically repeat words and melodies, or which have a kind of a rhythm, or which have a definite a beat, or which have rhyming words. Typically, you would have heard most of these kids enjoying wheels of the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. Similarly, Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. On that farm, he had some dogs, E-I-E-I-O. With a bow wow here, with a bow wow there, here a bow, there a bow, everywhere a bow wow. We have similar compositions in Indian classical music too. One of the great composers, Sri Muthuswami Dikshitar, who has given us the Western notes through Notuswarams in Raga Shankarabharanam, which has a Western tinge in itself. Ramachandram Rajivaksham Shyamalangam Shashwatakirtim Komalahastam Koshalarajam Mamakahrit Kamalakaram Maruti Yuktam Dhimata Manida Bhaktam Srimata Kaumaravaram Guru Goramitra Karunyanidhim Dasharata Putra Bhumi Sudabham Bhuvati Rupam Komala Pallava Padam Modam Kama Gurum Sita Rama Kausubha Bhusham Vandeham. So such short and beautiful compositions can be given to these children because the grasping capacity that they have at this age is amazing, which actually helps in building cognition for further development. We next move on to school age children and their indulgence in music. Now, school age is a formal age, and it is this time that even music can be introduced formally to the child. It needs to be introduced by a competent and a compassionate resource. And it is our responsibility as parents to not only expose them to one genre of music, but various genres of music to develop their creativity and imagination. And while learning music, we know that music itself is a wholesome education model. Now, while vocal music itself is enriched in so many cognitive benefits, instrumental music is equally engaging. Playing an instrument, musical instrument, requires a complex skill set that depends on the brain's ability to quickly integrate information from multiple senses. While multisensory learning engages children and provides greater retention, music education for children in particular provides research-proven cognitive benefits. Now, the coordination of rhythm, that is tala and laya, along with the melodies, that is a raga or the scales, is a combined complex activity which engages both the hemispheres of the brain. That's how it becomes a wholesome education model for the child. And while we know that a vocabulary of music comes from the left brain, the perceptions and the emotions come from the right brain.
गरुडगमन तव चरणकमलमिह मनसि लसतु मम नित्यम् गरुडगमन तव चरणकमलमिह मनसि लसतु मम नित्यम् मनसि लसतु मम नित्यम् गरुडगमन तव चरणकमलमिह मनसि लसतु मम नित्यम् मनसि लसतु मम नित्यम् मम तापमपा गुरुदेवा मम
And all the processes that actually help in learning music have a neurological basis. For example, be it identification of absolute pitch, then pitch processing itself, pitch discrimination, then the scale or the melody identification, melody processing, that is the identification of the ragas and blending into the ragas, then rhythm identification and processing, then the tonality, how you give music, at what situation, what kind of music you give to the child. Does it have, what are the rasas that we give? What are the emotions we are trying to convey? Is it a Veera Rasa or a Gambhira Rasa? Is it a Shringara Rasa? Are you trying to convey an emotion of love or compassion to the child? All these have a neurological basis. And of course, the auditory motor control, when we put tala, the timing, the sequence, the spatial organization of the tala, all these have a neurological basis. For example, in a muktayam like Garisa, Garizani, Arisa, Garizani, Asa, Garizani, Arizani, Ravasani, Ravarisa, Garizani, Arizani, Ravasani, Zani, Zani, Ravama. This is nothing but pure maths, and that's how it satisfies the intellectual hunger in an artist or in a child. And yeah, the ultimate benefit of memory retention in children through music. Now, as we move on to the next level, typically the teenage students, very often I come across this mistake made by parents to pull away children from their extracurricular activities, especially music and dance, due to peer pressure and pressure to excel in academics. Now, as children face severe competition, it becomes very important to use music as an effective coping strategy. It's not right for us practitioners to build in students just to enable them to the concert platforms. We need to help them look beyond and sit back and analyze the intrinsic benefits of music, which they could be dependent on throughout their life and which they could keep falling back on as they proceed on with different phases in their life. And hence music at this stage can be used for strong emotional resilience and self-discipline, and also as an effective coping strategy. And it is a well-documented fact that children who have had an exposure to music learning in their formative years tend to be more empathetic to peers and other individuals within their relationship framework or beyond, and they are more creative and innovative, and they start exhibiting these critical thinking skills or higher order thinking skills as they progress through academics. So music acts as a form of self-expression to teenagers. It perceiving emotions, understanding emotions, showing the right kind of emotions, controlling emotions. All these are essential benefits of music. And one very important and I would say a benefit that all of us cherish is the social interaction that we derive from group music activities. It could be band music, it could be classical music, it could be simply a rehearsal session where you're exploring with so many instruments and blending instruments across cross cultures. So it is definitely not right to groom music aspirants towards platforms, but if we can all help them to show the tremendous opportunities which are beyond these platforms, maybe as to grow in as music psychologists or musicologists or music healers or neuromusicologists or cognitive musicologists. It would definitely benefit the society to a very large extent. So as parents, when we are enriching children into music education, throughout their journey, right from birth to teenage and beyond also, we are actually building them an important alternative career opportunity too. So it is our responsibility to ignite that spark so strong that we have set a relationship and love of music in the youth aspirants, so that they can have it with them throughout their life. And finally, we know that India is rich in Vedas, Upanishads, our own epics, the Puranas, which are all based on the principle of resonance, Shruti, rhythms, Laya, Rasas, Bhava, Manodharma, Shruti Mata, Laya Pita. So it is impossible to perceive any musical piece without the mingling of the mother and father. That is Shruti and Laya. So Indian system of music is an individualistic, holistic, subjective and scientific art which is now reinventing itself towards personal harmony with one's own being, than aiming at symphonic elaborations. And surely it is our responsibility as parents and practitioners to embed this rich cultural model in young minds to carry forward our rich heritage. Thank you. Namaste.